You nervous? Come on. Get nervous. Be ready. It's catchy. And there we are. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. This is my first time in high definition, which to some people will be welcoming and to other people might be scary. But we'll get to the mail in a minute. I hope everybody's well. I just remembered to take my mask off as we started. You start to forget when these nice days come how important it is, and if you should be walking through the halls, please remember to wear your masks, and all staff that you encounter should also be wearing theirs. It is not an option, it is a rule and a regulation, so should you find anybody not wearing a mask, please remind them that it's in everybody's best interest to wear one. That's something that's being tried to be communicated nationally, internationally, and certainly locally here at the Hebrew Home. Today is a beautiful day. I hope you will get a chance to look outside and enjoy it from your windows. It's a little warm and humid, so Moji, it's probably not a good day to be outside. Little hint, Moji is my guest today, so she's just weighing in, so probably stay in the air conditioning, but enjoy the beauty. We had quite a storm last week, and if you can't really tell on the front lawn, which is what we call, but on the other side of the campus, we lost 3 pretty mature trees. It was Isaiah, I think, was the storm, and it was quite a big one. That was about a week ago, and still a lot of people without power throughout the area. Luckily here at the Hebrew Home, we have a generator, and we didn't lose power and didn't need to use it, but really something we don't have to worry about. In terms of things that happened on this date in history, found 2 little interesting tidbits. One sort of spurred on in my mind by what I heard this morning from Russia. Russia has announced they have a vaccine for coronavirus. I don't think many United States scientists and people have great confidence that they have a vaccine that's been well tested and accurate, but we're hopeful. But they named it Sputnik after space. They wanted to demonstrate progressiveness, and Sputnik was the name they used for their space program years back, and it made me think of one of my tidbits for today, which was Voyager 2 in 1989 first identified rings around Neptune on this date in 1989. Always very interesting to see the improvements in the telescopes, technologies, and so forth, to see that they discover new things about space and whether they're inhabitable planets for anybody to find. That's always something that's, if you watch science fiction, that's always on people's minds. Also, 1984, this was the Summer Olympics time in the United States, if you remember watching that in Los Angeles. And Carl Lewis was a track and field star and won 4 gold medals on this date in 1984. In terms of birthdays today, we have none. August 11th is not a birthday day, so it's the unbirthday for everybody. So I hope there's a busier day tomorrow and a busier day yesterday, but nobody born on August 11th here at the Hebrew Home at this time. In terms of the menu, no staff birthdays today either. In terms of menu, Olivia, could you join me on set to help us? Maybe we could widen the shot and feature the very present Olivia. We'll get to Olivia in a moment in our mail segment, but Olivia, perhaps you could share with us today's menu.
I'd be happy to. Our lunch for today, we'll have a garden vegetable soup. The entree is beef and pasta, and dessert will be applesauce. Dinner will be minestrone soup. Entree is eggplant parm. Do you like eggplant parm?
I do not. I like chicken parm.
Okay.
But thanks for asking. Were you going to make me some? Do you cook, Olivia, by the way?
Oh, interview is starting.
No, I just, when you're sitting in that chair, it sort of makes me think. Do you cook?
Sometimes.
Because other hosts have baked things and brought them in.
Wow.
I brought juice for many people in studio. Lisa, I think, made some very delicious treats. And seems like one of the hosts is a little light in the area of sharing. So I wonder if maybe you want to announce today that you were cooking something this evening for us.
This evening not, but maybe.
I mean, it's a little hot, but oven can only add a little extra heat to the, so no, all right.
You know. Well, that's awkward. Linguine, I didn't finish. Eggplant.
I could make it a lot more awkward than that.
Sure. Linguine with garlic, olive oil, and dessert is orange sorbet.
So why don't you stay for the mail segment? Thank you for the menu. And we're going to get to Mojdeh Rutigliano, who's our guest today, and I'm very excited about that. But we have some mail. I mean, it was closed a moment ago. This tells you there's mail. It's my first time ever having mail. I think, did I have mail once before, Catherine? Yeah, I have 2 mails today. Let's see what we got here. We have 2 from Marvin. So Marvin, thank you for your mail. First one. I saw the Hebrew Home Show with Lisa and Larry B., and I really enjoyed it. And I know there are a lot of other members of the staff who are very talented musically, and I'd be interested to hear from them if they're available. So, Catherine, I think there's an invitation there to invite other musicians to share their talents on Good Morning Hebrew Home. I think they're doing in other formats as well, right? Broadcasting throughout the day, so.
All of the musicians have their own time slot.
Catherine, have you been a guest on the show yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wendy's guest.
Oh, of course. Everybody's Wendy's guest first. Including Moji, I think, was Wendy's guest. Wendy part 2, I guess. I follow up on what Wendy misses, I guess I pick up. Number 2 from Marvin. Did you want to read the second one?
No, I think you should read it.
No, I think we should have you read it.
Okay, great.
Okay. Let's see what Marvin has to say on his second email of the day. What do we got?
Hi.
Hi.
I watched the show in HD.
That's great, Marvin. Thank you for doing that. I'm glad it's an.
I was very impressed.
Great.
In the improvement in the picture.
Well, David Finkelstein, I think, has left the studio, but he has been responsible for overseeing this, and we're going to have high definition, so we see things much better.
Yes.
Keep going.
It's nice to know how attractive Olivia is.
Oh, are you reading about yourself? Wait, can I see that for a second?
Look how that turned out.
It doesn't say that. I think you just added that in, but continue.
And I'm scared to see David in HD, but we will have to live
What?
with
Scared to see David in it? What does that mean, Marvin?
that. I don't know.
Marvin, I'd like another mail next week with an apology, because it sounded a little harsh.
Marvin also said, once again, the problem is the voice. Previously, it had been very low. This time, I could barely hear what they were saying. I could hear it, but it went out back and forth. Anyway, he says, if someone could please look at the volume, it'd really help the whole show.
Well, you're not mic'd today, so perhaps we're not hearing you at all.
No, the camera should be picking it.
Okay.
I hope.
Well, Marvin, thank you for watching. There's a lot of pixelation on my screen. Is that just the screen here in studio, or?
David F. went to go check on it.
Because that's very distracting to me. It's a little delayed and it's a little pixelated. Hopefully that's not the experience of people watching upstairs as you're telling us how wonderful you look in high definition. Well, Olivia, thank you for stopping in. Thank you for writing for Marvin. So that brings me to the guest interview segment. Mojdeh Rutigliano is here to join us. Moji, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Is your phone on mute? Because they get
It
very
is.
nasty here
Yes,
if it
yes.
rings on.
Yes.
So welcome
Thank you.
for your second appearance on the show, because I understand you've been here
Yes.
once before.
Yes, it's been a while.
Okay. How are things?
Great. How are things with you?
Things are great.
Good.
And you know, we are a nursing home by definition, right? The Hebrew Home technically is a nursing home, and you oversee the nursing department. It's a pretty big responsibility. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what you do on a grand scale.
Wow. You know, on a grand scale, really, it's the daily operation of everything that goes on with taking care of all of you. And that is just such an honor. And it's a calling. You know, I think that most of us that are here, it's not a job. It certainly isn't a job, it's a calling. And it's an opportunity to actually make a difference. And I have to say that my tenure here and in the nursing department, it's the best thing ever.
Well, you're really good at what you do, Moji, and I just wanted to spend a few minutes to poke around a little bit, because I'm not sure people realize just what a 24-hour job it is. You know, while you're here for one shift or part of a shift and a half, it's a 3-shift operation. So
Right.
you have people working here and people giving care 24 hours a day,
Yes.
7 days a week, 365 days a year. How do you create boundaries? How do you manage your life within that responsibility? Because it never ends.
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
Actually, from the very beginning, I mean, you know, I've been a nurse for a while, and even on the floor, I mean, it's like that. So, one of the things that was really, really important to me was for me to be present on all shifts. And I really do my darndest to do that, even though, night shift it's rough. It's rough. But, I remember the first time I actually, years ago, when I started in this role, and I can't believe it's been like 7 years now. The first night shift that I came in, I just kind of wanted to do rounds, and, it was in the middle of the night, and I didn't tell anybody, and I was in street clothes, and some of the staff probably called security and said, there's a little girl walking around on the floors.
No. You're not tall in stature, perhaps. I wouldn't judge. That wouldn't be appropriate. But I would say, in terms of presence, you're very present all the time. And it's important, we're teasing, but being present on all three shifts is important, right? I mean, this is, it's something that I've always felt very strongly about in my career, that you end up having more people in one shift, and it doesn't always give the same attention to the others. And your shift at 3 to 11 P and your 11 to 7, they want to see supervisors.
Absolutely.
They want to see managers. They want to know they matter as well.
Absolutely.
Talk about the personality of the shifts, because perhaps people would be interested to know, because it really is a different mindset to work. Let's start with the 11 to 7. Give a picture of somebody who works 11 to 7, why they would work it, and what's unusual about them.
So 11 to 7 shift, I have to tell you, is probably the most laid back shift, personality-wise. And what I found is a lot of people do it because of, just their responsibilities at home. They
Predominantly
have
women on your staff, right?
A lot of women.
Yes.
A lot of women. I mean, I'm in a predominantly, female
It's got to be
oriented
95%,
profession. Yeah, it's
right?
95% easily. But
Right.
they're mothers, and they have their husbands are working, X amount of shifts, and they, don't really see each other, but one takes one shift, one takes another shift, and then, they take care of the kids. So, they're amazing people. They don't ever sleep. It's insane.
Interesting reality, right? To strategize, to be able to have two incomes, be able to do it.
Right.
I'm always intrigued when I talk to them about when they sleep. Some will sleep a few hours before they come, right? So they'll lay down at 7 or 8, get a little bit of, then they'll come in, go and get the kids off, get a couple more hours there. It's like 2 parts of sleep.
They cat nap.
Yes.
They cat nap.
Yes. Which is fascinating, right?
It is fascinating. It's amazing you can actually do that
And
and
I
function.
ask the same question every time. When the UPS guy comes and rings the bell and you're laying down, do you want to kill him? Because people don't think of that. They don't think that they're waking you up at 10 o'clock in the morning when they call, or it's tough.
It is. It is. It is tough.
But they're some of our most important employees. They've worked here, many of them, for many years. And it works for them. And you need to have staff. Now, their assignments are a little bit different, right?
It's different, but, it's pretty chock full. I mean, like a lot of, for the nursing staff, I mean, the nurses, RNs, and the LPNs, they're doing a lot of the documentation.
A lot of rounds, right?
A lot of rounds.
And then morning care to help our residents.
Morning care, yes. That's like the feverish time. So like, just getting everybody up, getting, their first medications, their treatments, things like that. So.
But if you're at 11 to 7, that's unlikely you're ever going to be at 7 to 3, right? You are
not
what you
generally.
are. Yes.
They'll work 7 to 3, like sometimes, but normally they're sleeping.
I just love when we do in-services, and occasionally throughout the year, you're here much more often than I am, but we'll come in and we'll do some things, and it's like they're so excited to see people. It's like,
I know.
And the energy.
And it's
just
different people.
Yes.
It's not just, people. They see somebody they haven't seen for a while.
Yes.
So yes, it's good. But 3 to 11 shift is they're personality-wise, again, they're doing a lot of 3 to 11 people are doing it because of family responsibilities at home as well. But they seem to be a little more hyper than the 11 to 7 shift.
Okay.
And my day shift people are, definitely those go-getters, the hyper people, it's...
So 3 to 11 is sort of the transition between the two different types of...
Yes.
But it's, so would you say, Mojdeh, that you get called more for stuff overnight than you would on the 3 to 11 shift? Is it, if you're going to be, somebody's going to call you with a challenge, are you woken up more, or is it before you go to sleep?
They call me all hours, and it could be various things. It's individualized. What's happening exactly that they need to let me know about, but or get my advice about. I used to get a lot more calls in the beginning. of my tenure, and now I think, everybody kind of knows, when to call and when not to call. So it's a critical thinking type of a decision-making process. So they're really doing well, and I empower the managers that are here to make decisions. I support them if they ever have any questions about anything. I'm always available. But yeah, I still get calls in the middle of the night for sure.
In terms of the progress of nursing as a field, right? Nurses seem to me, as a non-medical professional, take on more and more responsibility all the time. That the nursing is stepping their game up. There's more required. Technology's changed. There's going to be more telemedicine going on. Can you talk about the progression of technology and equipment and things that have changed for nursing during your tenure?
Wow, it's a huge improvement, overall. But, change is rough. There's so many changes. And, the thing that I always say to, everybody in nursing is the one thing that you've got to be is flexible and adaptable. And if you're neither of those, wow, this is not for you. Because healthcare will always, God willing, strive to adapt and get better and have better technology and better software applications and just innovation. Just even, something simple as needles. We started out with crazy glass stuff, and now there's a million different needleless systems and all of these things that are improvements to the entire process. And, if you're not the kind of person that is willing to change and learn and continuously do that and understand that what I'm doing today is not going to be what I'm doing next year, because for the advancement of healthcare, then the nursing profession or the medical professional as a whole is just not for you.
How much is written as opposed to electronic medical records and things these days for your staff? Is it mostly electronic? Are people still writing pen and paper? What goes on in terms of the documentation of our residents?
I would honestly say that from a nursing aspect, probably 99% or 99.5% is all electronic. And, maybe like a worksheet or two here and there that you discard, that you don't even, really, it's just maybe just for little notes and things like that that don't need to be in the medical record, or it needs to be transcribed in the medical record if you want to just remember something. That's really it. And I'm really, really happy about that. I remember when we actually went from paper to our first EMR, and that was painful. I remember trying to help some people, like, how to use a mouse. Like, that it was...
A mouse, yeah.
A mouse. Yes, no.
Mm-hmm.
Not the ones that run around, but, it was a huge transition, and those people are still here. By golly, they kept with it. And we're tenacious, and now they're, everything is technology.
Well, speaking of that, the medications, you want to talk a little bit about, because people's medications they're receiving now comes to them differently, and that's a big topic of automation. You want to share?
That's a huge piece of advancement and technology that has assisted us so much. Prior to what we're using is the passport system, and it is a methodology in which somebody's medications for a certain time period are pretty much all prepackaged by a machine. And prior to that, let's say you had 10 medications in the morning, the nurse would have 10 separate blister packs that they would have to punch out 10 different medications.
Right.
Now this just comes all prepackaged.
So we're wasting less medications, right? Because
wasting less medications, just the time alone of punching, just imagine, multiply that. It's just a huge time save. Definitely you have to double check, like normal medication pass and things like that, but it is just saved tremendous, what I call now just uselessly wasted time all of these years. Like, why didn't we think of this before?
Well, and you can say that about a lot of technologies, right, that have improved. But I remember being out with you pre-COVID to see the operation when we were looking at the machines and how excited you were to see that, literally they were demonstrating on candy. I think it was
Skittles.
Skittles. And just this big, huge machine, and program in what everybody needs, and boom, 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 there's a packet with everybody's meds.
I don't know why we didn't think of this 20 years ago.
Well, and so it's around the home
It's
completely?
all around the home.
All
It's been
shifts?
all shifts. We implemented it in May.
Any problems that have happened?
There's some technological stuff every
Okay.
now and then. There's some things that we had to, learn about, the orders, the way that the orders are written, the way that the orders are transcribed, the way that, we have different things. But, it was a work in progress. We had a lot of support from the pharmacy, a lot of support from the ITTS team. So it went, nothing goes off without a hitch, but it was as best as could be.
Well, I know they have a little camera above the machine.
Yes.
And there's technology, there's support available 24/7, which
There
is
is.
nice.
There is. It's just fabulous. It's a nurse's dream come true.
I want to talk about COVID for a minute and things, but let me talk about the flu shots for a moment.
Yes.
Because we're going to get into a situation the next 6 to 8 weeks where
Yes.
people start talking about flu shots. For our residents watching, what should they think of it? Are flu shots going to help with COVID? Are they unrelated to COVID? Is it a year to definitely take a flu shot? What kind of things will our residents be hearing from us about flu shots?
Honestly, our residents are really good with taking the flu shots. They're all really on board. I have to tell you that it's unrelated to COVID in the form of any form of a vaccination because they're two separate things. However, really what happens is you have immunity or the best immunity possible with our flu shot, then your body is better equipped to handle any additional infections.
So you're not run down and beaten up for one thing.
You're not run down and beaten, and you don't get a flu shot, you don't get a COVID shot. God willing, there's a COVID shot or a vaccination available soon. I have my doubts that it'll be this year. Sputnik notwithstanding.
Yes, that would be shocking. It would be very shocking. It would make me very suspicious if they end up coming up with a...
Like, what is that?
Yes, I was already thinking.
Right.
Yes.
But, the flu shot is definitely something that...
So is that October?
Everybody.
Is that September? What is...
We'll start in October generally. We'll probably get it, first couple weeks in October, and we'll start getting the orders and giving the
And unless there's an allergy situation for somebody, it's a good thing.
Pretty much everybody's getting
Is
the
it
flu
egg?
shot.
So you can't be...
It's egg, but even now there's different ones that don't have that. I mean, you'd have to order it specifically, but yeah, it's pretty much egg allergy.
So let's spend just a minute on COVID because it is, why we wear these masks. It is what we're talking around all the time. It is impacting activities, ability to do the groups they want to do, and
Yes.
visitation, all the things that are going on. How has it been for you personally? Let's start there. You go to nursing school, you understand what pandemics are. Perhaps you don't think you're going to be living through one. And then
Right.
March hits or January hits and you see what's going on in Wuhan, China, and then it's around the corner and then it's here. How did you process it yourself personally?
Honestly, probably I'd say it was January, when we were starting to hear about, this thing out of China, right? And I thought, wow, that's an epidemic. I didn't think it was going to be a pandemic.
Okay.
And then, it became pretty evident that, wow, this thing's really different than anything that anybody's ever seen. And I have to be honest, even in my own, professional practice, I've never seen anything like that. And I think I'm not alone. We still don't know exactly what it is.
In terms of its potency, in terms of its infection rate, in terms of its composition?
Everything. It's potency, it's
Yeah.
infection rate, it's just the myriad of different signs and symptoms.
For basically what's a cold, right? I mean, that's...
The
very
coronavirus is actually...
The common cold.
It's probably been around for millions of years.
Right.
God knows how many millions of years it took to mutate. This thing just didn't come here. It's been.
Right.
But it just figured out a way to really ensure the survival of itself.
Yeah.
And it's doing a great job. And, honestly, it's just the asymptomatic spread is just something I've never seen. And it's just like wildfire. So, I mean, the critical aspect is to keep it out.
So one of the most impressive things to me during this difficult time, and certainly early on, was the work of the nursing staff. Your staff are on the front line. There's no other way to say it. It really is the front line. And people were putting their own lives at risk. You know, people didn't know much about it. There was a lot of unknowns, still are a lot of unknowns, but people needed to be cared for, and your staff were doing it. Maybe you could talk about the way you feel about the work that they did and the way your department stepped up, because it's you know, it was incredibly necessary and also very impressive.
You know, honestly, I am incredibly proud of them. And it's really part and parcel to really what they're made of. You know, I mean, people were scared. Of course they were scared. You know, I mean, I was scared. Everybody was scared. But bottom line is, you know what? We get an education on how to protect ourselves, how to practice good infection control techniques. And this was not different. You know, thank God it wasn't any different. So
I think I heard you say that thousands of times to people. That basically
It's
is what we're
true.
trained to do. Don and doff your PPE appropriately. This is what we're here to do. And people lived it. I mean, your
They
staff delivered the work they need to do, and
they did.
still do. And
Yes.
hopefully we won't going through another phase like we did, but it's, I think, something you should be very proud of. They were
Yes.
superstars.
Thank you. I am. I'm proud of them. And terribly impressed myself.
So before we run out of time, a couple of things. One, when people are on my show, I usually give them a pizza for being on my show.
Aw.
But since you're not a pizza person, we'll have some salt-free chips for you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you.
I can't make you pocket chicken,
It's
but
all
but I want to spend our last couple of minutes to talk about your parents.
Oh, thank you.
Because I hope they'll tune in on YouTube this evening when you send them the link.
I
So they
will.
can see and be proud of the work that you're doing. I'm sure they are. I know they are. I've had the chance to meet them. But maybe you can just talk a little bit about them, who they are, and what's important to them.
My parents are probably the most incredible people I've ever met in my life. And, you know, I can't shine their shoes. That's the God honest truth. But, you know, we're really close. And I talk to them every single day. They do live 3,000 miles away.
In California?
In California, in LA, where you want
So
to
it's
be.
a little
I'm sure.
early. Well, maybe they're up. It's 8 in the morning.
Oh, they're up at like 6.
Okay.
They already worked out. They had breakfast. Dad's probably doing the errands, and mom's probably tinkering in the garden. That's actually what they're
tell
doing.
their names so that the people know that.
My dad's name is Mohammed, and my mom's name is Maluk.
And they have visited the home at least a couple of times,
Few
right?
times.
Brought me
times.
wonderful nuts and pistachios, all kinds of things. But I know they're very proud of the work that you do, and I know you're very proud of who they are and managing the West Coast while you manage the East Coast.
Yep.
So, Mojdeh, I thank you for being with us this morning
Thank you.
and for all the work you and your department are doing.
Thank you so much.
I thank everybody for tuning in on Tuesday, August 11th, on evidently Olivia Day, because we had mail about Olivia today. So if you'd like to send mail that's not about Olivia, how do they do that, Olivia?
Dial 2813, leave a message.
2813 and leave us a message. And we like messages about Catherine and Wendy and the rest of us. That would be wonderful. But I thank everybody for the help of putting on today's show. I encourage you to stay inside on a hot day. Yes, Mojdeh?
Yes, please stay inside today.
I think it's going to cool off later in the week. Enjoy the beautiful views and entertainment on Channel 8. And anything else, Catherine, going on today that they should be aware of?
We have the remembrance ceremony today at 2:45.
Very important remembrance ceremony at 2:45. Will that be on Channel 8 as well? So chance to remember and pay tribute to folks that we've lost. So have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday. And so long.
Bye.
See that? Landing right at 11 o'clock.
My heart is where the hero is. Oh, where the heart is, that's where you find the